Hi everyone, my name is Phil and welcome to PhilDoes3D. I'm a multimedia and 3D artist and I stream on Twitch weekdays from 5 PM Pacific time in the US, 12 PM in Australia and 1 AM in the UK. Let's pull up 3D Studio Max and we'll load up the garden terrace we're working on. I want to shout out a thank you to Raknos for the follow last week of my Twitch channel. Sorry, I know I mispronounced your name. I'm pretty sure it's Raknos. Thank you for the follow. I always appreciate it every time any of you guys follow me on Twitch or Twitter, so thank you. We're going to continue on with the garden terrace balcony supports today. We should be able to finish those off. Last week we were creating 4 or 5 different versions of a texture that we could start repeating around the outside, so we'll continue with that. As soon as Max finishes loading up our file. Remember guys, if while I'm working you have any questions, feel free to pop into chat and ask me. I'll do my best to answer any problems or questions you might have. If you want to pop into chat to say hello, then that's cool. If you just want to watch, then that's completely fine too. Okay, let's jump into full screen view just here. So last week we were creating textures for these supports and we created 5 versions that we can start repeating around the outside now. So let's do that. Let's select this support just here. Max is being a little bit iffy for me today. Okay, let's go into isolation mode. And I do that just so I don't accidentally select anything in the background when I'm doing an attach. We'll convert it to an edit poly though, because remember edit poly is always better than edit mesh. And we will just attach these 3 pieces together. Matched material is fine, there is no material on it at the moment. Let's turn off our attach. And exit isolation mode. Now let's start copying our textures across. So we'll go in order, I think. You may mix it up a little bit when we get a bit further around, but for the moment we'll go in order. But first I have to copy the UVs across. So I'm going to go into my utilities tab and open up my channel info. I'm going to copy the UV channel, map channel 1. I'm going to paste that into the support we just attached. Now let's open up our material editor. And we have our 5 textures here. So let's start at the beginning here. Just going to move the viewport over a little bit. We'll start with number 1 and we'll assign our material to it. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Just fix my mouse here. Okay, let's go into isolation mode again so we don't accidentally select something we shouldn't. Go to edit poly and we'll do an attach on these 3 pieces. Okay, we can exit isolation mode. Again, we're going to, it doesn't matter which one of these you select to copy the UVs across from, they're all the same, so I'll just choose this one here. Back into our channel info. And we'll paste it into there. Again, let's open up our material editor. And this time we'll go to map 2. We'll just keep doing that around the outside now, so edit poly, and then attach again. Now there is an option in the utilities tab here to collapse, so you could select everything and just put a collapse modifier on it, but I've noticed that can be sometimes a little iffy as to whether it's going to work and it's not going to mess up your texture maps, so I generally avoid using the collapse command here in the utilities tab. So let's exit our isolation mode, but that is an option for you. I just thought I'd point that out. Again, we're going to select our UV copy and paste it into our new one. And let's move on to texture number 3. I know which texture I have last time because there's a slight white border around the outside of it. And I'll assign that material. Just going to swing my model around a bit. Again, isolate. And again, I always recommend Edit Poly because with Edit Poly, you have many more options here in the utility, in the modifier stack for the poly than you do for the mesh. So it's always better to work in Edit Poly mode. Okay, let's exit that. Again, we're going to open our channel info and copy our UVs across. And let's move to the next texture map. Attach our pieces together. And again, we'll copy our UVs across. Okay, so that's the last texture we use. We'll use this one here at the end. Let's just pull back and have a bit of a look at that. And again, for anyone watching last week, you would have seen me when I started doing the texturing on one of these, it was I was picking up more of that terracotta color from here, but once it was actually on the object, it didn't look quite right, so then I thought it was better we picked up some of the blue from the banister railings themselves. And that's also probably what we're going to do when we come to texture these columns. I'll probably pick up the texture map on these and continue that through so there's consistency here. Because remember, as I've always said, consistency is really important. Alright, now we'll continue around the same way. I think we'll just continue with 1 to 5. We won't mix them, match them, because with 5 texture variations you're not going to notice the repeating textures. So if you think you will, then don't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go 1, 3, 2, 5. Sort of mix them up that way if you think that there's a chance that people might notice. All right. thank you for the follow. I know I'm going to get your name wrong. F1R5 TD4WN. First for win. Sorry, I know I probably completely messed up your username, but thank you very much for the follow. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. And again, sorry if I messed your username up. Let's select these pieces here. And we're going to go into isolation mode again. Edit poly. And attach them together. If anyone's curious about this box here, that it's saying, it's basically if you have multi-materials on an object, you can tell Max how you want them to be combined. So you can match material IDs to material to material IDs, or don't match anything. And also to condense materials and IDs. But because we have no materials assigned to this yet, it doesn't really matter. First Dawn, okay. Well, welcome First Dawn, and thank you very much for following the channel. I really do appreciate it. And thank you for popping into chat to tell me your username. I remember now. I think I had Rachnos join last week and I called him Ray, so he had a bit of a laugh about that. So thank you again for following. Remember guys, if you have any questions for me or anything you don't understand, feel free to ask. Like I said, I'll do my best to answer any questions you have. If you just want to pop into chat to say hi, then that's very cool. Or if you just want to watch, then that's completely fine too. Let's end isolation. Turn off our attach here. We're going to select the UV one and open up our channel info. And again, we're going to copy our UVs across. And we're going to open up our material editor. And we're going to jump back to number 1 again. Remember, like I said, if you think people will notice that you're repeating a texture, then don't go 1 to 5. Mix and match them a bit. But with 5 textures, you should be pretty safe. Well, thank you very much, First Dawn. I'm always happy to have lurkers in the channel. That's completely fine. I mean, a lot of times when I watch Twitch, I'll lurk. I don't always chat. And you don't use Max or View. You wish you could. Well, you know, I don't know if you're a student or a teacher or anything, but Max is free if you're a student or a teacher. View have a personal learning edition that you can download for free and practice and play around with. Just something to think about if you do want to give it a go. But I appreciate you being here and thank you for watching. And yeah, my streams are like a big tutorial, I have to admit. Well, I think that's a lot of the times why people want to watch. They want not only to watch somebody working on 3D, but they want some information about how things are done. So sometimes I think I talk a bit too much, but anyway. Let's isolate that selection. And we'll attach these pieces together. And again, we're going to copy. Oh, see, I didn't turn off my attach. You always must remember to do that, otherwise you'll end up attaching everything. We'll copy our UVs across again. Open up our material editor and we'll move on to the next texture here, number 2. Now you'll notice some of these are actually penetrating the wall. I'm aware of that, and what I'm going to do is once we've textured up the incomplete model, and we don't have a lot more to do, we've only got these columns and supports left. Once I've done that, I'm going to go around the model with a fine-tooth comb and look for any errors like that and correct them. Because there's also an error like that just down here with this column. It's intersecting the floor. And I want to move this column and make it a little larger as well. So, but all those things we'll do at the very end once I've finished texturing up the complete model. So don't judge me on that, because it'll all be fixed and I am aware of it. It's easy fix, it's just moving the model out slightly or up slightly. So I just thought I'd mention that to you guys, just in case you are looking at it thinking, well, that's crap. You own Modo and ZBrush. You're used to Blender's user interface. Yeah, well, Blender's a great piece of 3D software as well. You know, you can't go wrong with that. And another guy that pops into my chat is Galen. He always uses Blender and he loves it. I know a lot of people do. I haven't personally used it myself, but I have heard good things about it. And I actually also use ZBrush. I use that. Let me just attach these. But those are angel columns, angel statues rather, that you see in this model. I use that to fix up any poly errors and just to bring in a bit more detail. As I was explaining to somebody the other day, or a couple of weeks ago actually. Let me just exit isolation mode here. He asked me how I created these statues. And these statues are actually created using photogrammetry. So with photogrammetry, as I was explaining to him, you're never going to get a completely clean model out of it. You're going to have to do adjustments to the geometry and to the texture map. So what I do is take the angel into a ZBrush, and then I paint over any detail that I think needs improving, and I also take the texture into Mari and paint out any errors that have popped up. So ZBrush is a great piece of software. I have to admit though that the user interface is a bit fiddly to work with, but a lot of people like it. So you've used it for so long it becomes like, yeah, I'm that way with Max actually, because I've been using Max for more than 10 years now, so I know the interface pretty well. But it's always good to learn other pieces of software, 3D software. I've used Cinema 4D. I haven't used it for a few years, but it's, again, a good piece of 3D software. So they're all pretty good now, though. Like I was saying, Blender's is even just as good. Now, you see with this, I forgot to convert that to a poly, so we're going to do that now. You don't have to do it before you do the attach, but always make sure you do convert it to poly. But yeah, no, Cinema 4D is a great piece of software. Blender's a great piece of software. A lot of people like Mouya. I just have a preference for Max. And that's basically because of my work. I use Max in the studio all the time. And I'm used to it, and I know it, so stick to what you know. But always helps to learn new software, that's for sure. Let's select this one, and we're going to copy our UVs across again. And hopefully by watching me, you'll pick up a few pointers if you ever do pick up Max and want to play around with it. But again, on my channel here, I don't always just use Max and Mari to do texture painting. Once we've finished texturing up this model, then I'll be using Null to create normal maps or any spec maps that might be required. And then I'll be taking it into Eon View to do the beauty renders. But I may show you guys some photogrammetry as well, because if I'm creating a new piece of photogrammetry modeling, then I'll use one of these two programs. So, or even Photoshop occasionally, I'll open that up to do some color correction on texture maps. So I use all sorts of different things. A couple of guys too I noticed are into game modeling, so I also use Epic. I'm really familiar with Epic Games Unreal Engine, so I may do something on that at some stage as well. Alright. Forgot where I was, so I'm just going to copy that again and paste it in again. If I've already done it, it won't hurt. I think I did already do it. And let's move on to the next texture, which will be this one here. There's a few of these because there's 2 for every balcony support zone. But that's why I created 5 versions of the textures so that we wouldn't notice any repetition. If the model was only used a few times, we could get away with maybe 2 different textures, but because it's used so much, we needed to use at least 5. Like I was saying to last week, if you want to texture up each individual one uniquely, then go right ahead. But chances are people are not going to notice, and you're just going to create a lot more work for yourself than you need to. So my advice would be not to. But if you love doing it, then hey, by all means, go ahead and do it. Let's copy our UVs across. And we'll assign our texture map. This one here. Okay. Let's isolate that one. Convert it to poly and do our attach. Unreal Engine looks like you can do more than just games. Seemed like you could do architectural visualization. Yeah, you can, and some studios do use it for that. For instance, if they want to create a walkthrough for a client, they use the Unreal Engine to do an interactive walkthrough for them. So a lot of studios will just render out a still shot for a client of, say, the kitchen or the bathroom or the lounge room. That's generally how a lot of studios will work, but studios now are starting to use Unreal to do interactive walkthroughs so that they create the EXE, and then the client can run it and can actually walk through the building and look around themselves. You don't get quite the visual quality you get with a dedicated renderer like, say, V-Ray or Mental Ray or anything like that, but it's pretty good. For an interactive, it's pretty good. So yeah, you're right. A lot of studios are starting to use Unreal now for that. Architectural Visualization Studio. So no, you're exactly right. They can and they are using it for that. I didn't use it. I haven't used it so far for the ArchViz studio that I work for at the moment, but I have used it to create some stuff for Epic Games and my own stuff as well. Because I also do game modeling. There's a studio here that they commissioned me to do models for them, so game models for them, and that's for the Unreal Engine. Okay, so we have to copy our UVs across. And assign our texture map, which will be this one here. And again, let's just pull out and have a quick look at that. And you can see what I mean. You're not going to notice the repetition of the textures here because we're using 5 versions. And generally in a render, you're going to be angling it like this, so you're never going to see any of the 5 full on, front on at the same time. What I'm doing here now is at home. I do this for my, I sell these models on the Creative Market and Cinetech Media and Cornucopia 3D. So I'm at home at the moment. This model is for me, for my store. The ArchViz stuff I do in a studio. I have to go in to do that. Some of it I can do at home, but sometimes I have to go into the studio for that, and the commissioned work I do for the game studios I do at home, usually. If there's something specific that they need done, then I'll go into the studio and I'll work with the guys in the studio. Yeah, no, the game models I do in both. I do a lot of them at home, but there are times when I have to go into the game studio to do some stuff as well. And that's generally the stuff when I have to go into the studio, it's to do more of a technical artist sort of role, because not only do I do 3D modeling, but I do programming, computer programming as well, so that fits right in with them. If they need anything done, say in Blueprint or something, I can go into the studio and work on it with the guys there. But my 3D modeling stuff, a lot of the times for the studio, I'll do it at home, for the game studio. And yeah, like I said, if there's enough interest in it, I can certainly do some work in Unreal on the stream at some stage. So I know a lot of you guys are into games and game modeling, so that requires a whole sort of different mindset to this sort of work, because you've really got to worry about texture sizes and polygon counts a bit more. It's getting better, but when I first started, it was a real problem. As in, you had to use really small textures and really low poly models. Not so much of a problem now, but it's still, you still got to be aware of it when you're creating game stuff. Yeah, we'll paste that in. Now we're going to jump back to our beginning again. And assign that material. Have you used the Unreal Engine at all, First Dawn? Played around with it at all? Convert it to edit poly. And we'll attach these pieces together. And we're going to copy our UVs across as well. You like architecture more than the game stuff? Oh, okay. Just a hobby. It started in 3D because making models for Fallout 3. Oh, cool. You started doing online training and got away from games, modeling and more into architecture. Okay. I'm pretty much the same, you know. I started in design, more multimedia design, so website design, that sort of thing, and programming. And then I moved into game development, working for game studios. And then I moved into architectural visualization. And now I'm doing both ArchViz and game stuff. So sort of mixing both of them together. But less web design now. You've dabbled with the CryEngine, but not much. A lot of it. Yeah, I haven't. I've played around with the CryEngine as well, and I find it quite difficult to use, and that's coming from somebody that's had a lot of experience with different software. I find the Unreal Engine is much more user-friendly. You get great results. The CryEngine gives you really wonderful results, don't get me wrong, it looks great. The interface is more difficult to use. So, somebody just starting out, I wouldn't recommend the CryEngine. And in fact, with the problems going on with that studio at the moment, I don't know how much longer that engine will be in existence. Apparently they're having money problems at the moment, so. Did I copy the, yeah I did, okay. It could all be a nasty rumour, of course, but they have had problems in the past, so. And it just, the software itself is more difficult to use than Unreal. So if you've got experience using a CryEngine, you'll find the Unreal Engine easy. But then it could just be me as well, because I have been using Unreal for a long time too. So. Exit isolation mode. But if you did dabble with CryEngine and you thought it was, it's not for you because of using that engine, then try the Unreal Engine, because you'll find it much more enjoyable to use than CryEngine. Don't let the CryEngine put you off. And again, like I said, if you want to get into ArchViz, then Unreal is being used more and more in that industry. So let's copy our UVs across. And go to our next texture map over, which is this one here. You haven't heard about them having problems, but wouldn't surprise me. Okay. They tend to do... Oh, they're definitely a talented studio, and I remember when they first released the CryEngine, it was an amazing piece of software. Like, it didn't come close to what Unreal at that time could do. So they were really ahead of their time, that's for sure. And I'm not saying they're not an amazing bunch of guys, and I'm not saying the studio is bad. I just remember reading, I think it was on bluesnews.com, that they've missed payroll for 2 months, but that's a rumour, so it could just be a rumour. And I know that happened to them about a year or two ago as well, and that was just before Amazon gave them a large sum of money to license out their engine. So, but like I said, it's a rumour, so I'm not going to start spreading lies. I'm not saying that they're not great. They are a great studio, and they have created some great games. And the engine is a great engine. It's just more complicated to use than Unreal, that's all. Put that to poly. Oh, good, yeah. Don't misunderstand me, anyone. I'm not bagging the studio at all, or the engine at all. I'm just telling you what I read. And a lot of people don't... Nope, you don't want that one, not this one. Don't realise just how much money is involved when you've got to run a game studio too. It costs a lot of money. The payroll is huge. And you're always at the whim of your publishers, so it's a difficult business to be in, that's for sure. You know, it's quite as easy as if you don't make a milestone for the publisher, then they'll withhold payment until you do. And if you miss the milestone through no fault of your own, but maybe a technical problem, well, then that could cause a real problem. Just like Moto, in my opinion, the best modeler out there. Yeah, well, that's right. It's everyone has their opinion. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. You know, all the 3D software, as I've been saying all along now, it's pretty good. It's come a long way, and any piece of 3D software you use is going to be more than up to the job. So. You can do things traditionally, but if you can learn the Moto way, which I can't. Okay. Again, Moto is not software that I've actually used, so I don't know about that one. But like I said, all 3D software now has come a long way, and all of it's going to be more than capable of doing what you need. Just some are more specialized than others, like 3D Studio Max is generally used in a lot of ArchViz studios, architectural visualization. Mouya is used a lot in game development, mainly for animation. Cinema 4D was used a lot for doing video titling and that type of thing, as well as 3D, but that's what it was initially used a lot for. You know, I know a lot of guys that use the Unity engine like Blender because, you know, they both go together. It just depends on what you're doing, really, or what you've got access to as well. Let me copy our UVs across again. More graph. We'll do 30 trial of C4 doing like lots of simulation. Yeah, okay. 30-day trial, yeah, I'll give it to me. That's in more graph. I haven't actually, I'm not familiar with that one. I'll have to have a look. I'll have to check that out. Cost simulation is always fun to do. No graph, okay. Again, I'm not familiar with it either. I know that Max, you can do cost simulation, and they have they use NVIDIA's SDK to do it. So, but I'm always on the hunt for new pieces of software to learn or to look at. Even if I don't use it, I always like to read up on it. That's cool. If you're not sure, then that's fine. But like I said, there's always new pieces of software being released, so it's always good to keep abreast of what's going on. Algorithmic, for instance, they're relatively new. Well, when I said they've been around for a few years now, but not as long as some of them. So. Sinanji 87, I know, have I pronounced your name wrong? I'm completely sorry. Have I ever tried SketchUp? No, I haven't. I'm familiar with it. But I personally haven't used SketchUp, no. Have you used it? What do you think of it? SketchUp, that is. Yeah, let's open our utility tab and copy our UVs across. Yes, Houdini is still around. It is still around, yes. There's still quite a few people using it. And I don't know about soft image or soft image though, that seems to be dying now. Now that Autodesk bought it and decided to kill it. Typical Autodesk fashion. Okay, let's jump back to the beginning again. We'll assign a material to the selection. We're getting there, we're slowly working our way around. It's more about face manipulation versus vertex manipulation. SketchUp, okay, cool. I know of it. I've seen some models created in it. I haven't used it though. You know, Houdini is still around. It's probably not in the news as much as it used to be, but it's still around. People are still using it. So is that an O or a C? I can't quite read that. Is it Onanji 87? Again, sorry, mispronouncing your name. I'm sure I probably have. Alright, let's copy our UVs across. You want to learn AutoCAD but can't afford it? Yeah. Oh, Nanji. Thank you, Nanji. I will remember. It's always helpful when you guys spell it out that way for me in chat, so I don't make an idiot of myself mispronouncing your name. Oh, Nanji. Got it. Again, sorry for mispronouncing it, but I know now. You want to learn AutoCAD but you can't afford it? You won't pirate it. There's tons I want to learn. Yeah. AutoCAD is again used a lot in architectural visualization. That's what all of the initial models are created in.